David Duke, top of the arc. Here's Pip, guarded by Gillespie. Steps back, spins, fires! Woo! Pip Gates!
They get another crack. They'll go to their senior. And he lays it in. Two big buckets by Alpha Diallo.
He crushed it. It's a grand slam.
Down by 3. 5 seconds. Reeves for the tie. He got it.
Welcome back to Behind the Dish. As we promised, we like to bring you guys stuff from all different aspects of sports. And today we have a very special guest today. Any of you who have ever collected baseball cards know that it's a pretty cool experience. Today we have somebody who works in the industry, kind of behind the scenes, sets up the cards for you guys. Kyle Maslan is an employee of Topps Cards Company right now. And he has been, basically, his own words, he's been working to get into the sports industry, everything he's done since he was 15 years old, ton of cool experiences. So, Kyle, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be here, Matt. Happy to help you out. You know, you've been a friend for a couple years since you were a freshman, and now you're going to be a senior, and I'm out of college for a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird.
It is. I have a lot to thank for Kyle for me being on the show. Definitely a mentor to me, being in communications and sports and pretty much everything I do in sports, with sports media, sports marketing at BC. A lot of that all comes from Kyle, so we have Kyle to thank for that, or not thank if you're mad at me being on your screen. But let's get right into it. Just to start, so you mentioned everything you've done, you know, since you were 15 years old has been working towards getting into the sports industry. Did you know, how long have you known that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, so I have an interesting story in terms of my sports. Like, a lot of kids get into sports when they're really little. I didn't. I got into sports about 2006 when I was 10 years old was when I just kind of fell in love with sports. Before that, I like things here and there. Like, I like things for a year, then you drop it. I think for a year and drop it, like a lot of kids do. And in 2006, I just fell in love with Derek Jeter. I know you're New England people, so don't get too mad at me on that one.
Sorry, you gotta respect Jeter. Got it.
But being from the New York area, I fell in love with Derek Jeter. And as soon as that happened, it was just a bug that I caught, where I watched every Yankee game that 2006 season. I remember my parents being scared to tell me they lost to the Tigers in the ALDS in Game 4 because they didn't think I could handle it. And that led into everything else. I immediately picked up the Jets, the Nets, and the Devils after that, and have stuck with those teams through a lot of thin. And it was a bug that never shook. So then I guess you're 15, you're 16, and you're starting to figure out, all right, what do I want to do? What can I do? And I'm someone where as soon as this sports book hit, like I love playing, but I loved the front office stuff. I love player movement, contracts, trades, that whole 9 yards. I'm like, well, I always knew I wasn't a great athlete. You know, tall Jewish kid, can't really jump. I'm not going to be a D1 athlete. I just knew that from a young age. I wasn't going to be a D1 athlete. I love playing, but it wasn't my future. So my whole thing was, how can I separate myself and stay in it once my playing career is done? And, I played through high school. I played basketball and baseball throughout high school. I got 3 varsity letters. So, I ended up able to work my way to not terrible, but, I wasn't going to be playing D1 level. That's for sure. So I was like, all right, what do I have? I was always a really good student. And my whole thing was, I'm good at numbers, I'm good at talking. So that's what led me to business. So the question was, do I want to go to business school in general, or do I want to go to sports management school? Like sports management, Syracuse is fantastic. They're top notch. But my whole thing was, if I go to BC, because I was lucky enough to have the grades to get in to a school like BC, where this is a separator, where if I get a general business degree, but I do a lot of sports classes and sports extracurriculars, that's a separator. A lot of people that work in sports do that sports management degree from a good program, but not necessarily a brand name university. Where, if I have a brand name university with great academics and then show this is everything that I want to do, it builds a unique profile. So that's kind of what I did. And my friends in high school always joked at saying you have to have Mondays with Maz, because all I want to do is talk sports. Like, you got to get a radio show Mondays with Maz. Well, I get to BC, and there's the club fair, and Michael Graziano screamed, come for the sports day for the friends, call BC games, and have your own talk show. I'm like, well, that sounds fun. So I kind of got into that, and I was immediately hooked. I done a little bit in working in sports here or there. I did a small internship with an NFL agency about 3 weeks into high school. But this was really my first real dive into working and doing things within an athletics field that wasn't just playing and watching. I'd read about it. I talked to my friends, but I never gotten able to get into it outside of that 3-week internship with an NFL agency. And I got hooked. I was lucky enough where I showed enough interest early on where I put on some good broadcasts as a freshman. I was on color for Boston College, North Carolina basketball, which is, I was awesome. Shocked. And when we look back at it, it was the current director, the next year's director, and freshman year me, who was eventually director. So that was it. And it kind of showed, A, that the people in the club liked me, B, that they thought I could do a high profile game as a 19-year-old freshman, and see that just how fun it could be and what it felt like to be on the mic and be in a post-game press conference with Roy Williams and not be like overcrowded by the moment and just be able to talk knowledgeably as if I'm talking with you guys right now. But with the Roy Williams, I was in press conference with Rick Pitino. I happened to be down the floor from Jerome Robinson, who's now in the NBA. And it just that was kind of got me into saying, okay, this is feasible. And I stuck on with radio, and I joined the board. It was the best thing I ever did was join sports radio. I did a couple other things here or there, but sports radio was the main thing. And junior year, I really got kicked into high gear. It was whatever this club needs, I'm volunteering. You want to get me on mic? Get me on mic. So I picked up, I think I did 5 games freshman year. I went up to 16 or 17 games sophomore year. And that's when as a board member, I started introducing myself to people. People started to know who I was because I was always around. Matt will know if I was in broadcasting game, I was at the game.
Yeah.
And at BC, for that random midweek game against a no-name school, there aren't that many kids there. So people started noticing this one kid's always here. And just kind of built up a reputation, and it built up my knowledge. Because when you're on the air, the more you see a team and the more you can talk about a team, the better you are. So when you don't miss a game and you see what the random bench player can do on a Tuesday night, he gets some surprise minutes, a big game, you're on mic, all of a sudden you teach people something that they never would have known, and very few people as student radio would have known. I also got the first taste into traveling, which was very, very cool. I did a couple road games as a sophomore. The best one was I went down to Madison Square Garden, which might have been the best single game I called. I was on color and BC won against Auburn in a tip-in with 0.2 seconds left. Kai Bowen drove, missed a layup, and Popovich tipped it in. They were both freshmen at the time. And being from New Jersey, my first road game was at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And my dad, who's a diehard Knicks fan, grew up in New York, was so jealous. And we were up in the rafters on the Chase Bridge. And it was really cool because nothing gets more professional than MSG. The desks that we sat on were see-through because they had TV monitors based in the desk. So you could have live stats updating and a TV feed of what was going on. So you could both see with your eyes and see the different angles in TV. And it was just, you felt like a pro broadcaster. You really did. And then a couple months later, I had a couple other chances to go on the road. I went, and that was all locally. I went to Harvard. I went to Northeastern, which was my first big 4-sport play-by-play at Northeastern. And I went to Fenway Park. And one thing about that is, if you guys like working in sports, you like working in sports media, don't be afraid to talk to anybody. When I was at Fenway, I happened to see a guy with a Yankee backpack. And I'm saying, let's go Yankees. It doesn't cross my mind that he could work for the team. Well, he was the lead Northeast scout for the New York Yankees. And he was sitting with an A scout, and he just said, yeah, let's talk. So we talked for 15 minutes, and we broke down a guy who I played high school baseball with, who's playing at West Virginia, and a couple of guys in the BC team. And they told me that if I wanted to, I could be a scout for a career. They told me that I had the eye, I had the knowledge to be a scout. And that affirmed that, I was in the right path, that my knowledge, that my watching, could I be a scout? I had no idea if I could handle much time on the road. I really didn't. But the fact that you have guys who have scouted for 15 years telling me and 20 at the time that if you want to do this, you can, it adds a whole other level of confidence to saying, okay, everything I've been doing to this point matters, and it is a separator. And then it kind of led into junior year where some more great broadcasts, some more great opportunities, some more great road games. And then I got my junior year, and then my internship search took forever. Because it can be an unforgiving world. It really can. I think I sent out 45 internship applications over 6 months. And, I was a finalist for a couple. I got really close at a minor league baseball broadcasting internship. I also got really close at a broadcast agency. I was like the finalist. I came in second in both, and it sucked. But then I happened to get Steiner Sports. I applied cold. I knew about them. They have many of their pieces of memorabilia, but it just clicked in the interview. It was a half-hour Skype interview, and they gave me the internship offer a day and a half later. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. It was just before spring break of junior year, so it was perfect timing. Like, it was just at the end of I need something, and it was fantastic. And up to then, everything I'd done had really built up to that point, because now I'm working in sports. It was 11 weeks. It was a paid internship, which is rare in sports, and one thing that was cool is they let me build my own internship basically. What happened was the first week we did our own presentations, and they said, what do you like to do here? And I was talking about what you're selling. Are you guys, I see the Isaiah Thomas in the background. You guys, I presume, are big memorabilia people.
Oh, yeah. Rob definitely is.
Yep.
I'd like to try it.
When you buy I see Yachty. So let's say you're buying a Yachty or an Isaiah Thomas. You're not buying a piece of cloth with some ink on it. You're not. You're buying the memories. You're buying the emotions that come with that player. You're buying everything that goes around it, all your experiences. That's what you're buying into, and that's why they can charge ridiculous amounts of money for it in some cases. And I basically explained that to HR. I said, this is why what you do is different. And she's like, well, and that didn't fit into any of their preset categories. So within an hour, they had built a product development internship for me, which is crazy to think that literally just me talking down with HR for an hour for a 15-minute conversation, and all it took was an hour, and they said, yeah, we have this whole new, we've never done this before, but we think that this would be great for you, and we think that you could help. And that opened up some great doors, and thank God I had the practice of being on the mic and meeting people, because when you're running product development, I was the one guy, I was handling stuff every day. I tried on 5 championship rings. I ran multiple signings. I had products. I created product. I created a 6-foot-tall Martin Brodeur tribute piece. I created a Yankees perfect game piece. I built out some other smaller things. But the highlight was running signings, because when you think of memorabilia company, when you think of when the athlete comes in and he signs everything. And I had the chance to be involved with that and talk to them. And it also, in addition to just give me that experience to meet Jonathan Quick, to meet John Sterling, Johnny Damon, David Wright, it was the fact that they trusted me to not be starstruck. They trusted me that you have the experience where you can sit there and talk to them like they're a person for an hour. But you're also not above doing manual labor. To do the Jonathan Quick signing, I got in an hour. I got in early, and they said, hey, we just had 198 helmets arrive late last night. They're not set up. You need to go run down there, and you have 45 minutes to get them ready. All right. So we're going to do. And we got them ready, and I had 45 minutes. But I think we got them ready in 35. It was me and one of the warehouse guys, and we busted our hump, and we got it ready. So when Jonathan was able to come, he sat down, we gave him the pens, and we just started signing him stuff. And it ran seamlessly. And Jonathan Quick was a tremendous guy to talk to. And then for John Sterling, it was, okay, we're going to his apartment complex. We did it in the lobby of his building. They said, yeah, no problem. And they trusted me to sign out, go off site. And they had a manager there to basically sign the check and to transfer stuff, but I ran the signing. I told John Sterling, here is what you're going to inscribe on this ball. And because we were doing with a broadcaster, you say, sign your name, but put your calls in. And that was, again, a fantastic opportunity. And it showed the trust that I had engendered. And then senior year came, and I was in Matt's position, as he is right now, of all right, now we're running sports radio. It's one thing to do it for 3 years and be on mic, but it's a whole other ball game, piecing together a board, piecing together people you trust, and running an entire club when it's in a lot of situations the lowest, low on totem pole. You're not ever anyone's first priority. You have to learn to get everything done when everyone is trying to get something else done, and you learn a lot of working with that. But again, I had some tremendous opportunities. I went to the bowl game that never happened. I went down to Florida State. But again, I also at that point I had learned to pass up some stuff where we had college game day come my senior year, and I was able to get some sophomores the opportunity to get credentialed for game day. Matt, it was you and JD, right?
It was me and Parsons.
Me and Parker, I bet.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I had ESPN emailing me all week saying, we're on campus. What can we do to make your life better? So I took something. So the Friday press conference, when it was just a small group of people, there was maybe 15 of us asking Reese Davis and Des Howard questions. It was me and the current director, Matt Satilli. We took that one. But I was able to get some lesser, fresher faces, some credentials to a once-in-a-lifetime thing like college game day. Matt, you can speak to that a little bit. What was getting behind the scenes for that like? But I went to a bunch of places. I think and all told, I called 52 games at BC over 6 sports, including 2 on ESPN3. And then I took a slight detour in my career. I spent 7 months working for Walmart e-commerce. I thought I was going to hopefully work in their sports department. It didn't end up working out, but now I'm just finished. I'm in the middle of week 7 right now at Tops. So I'm a sports editor, which my job is basically I pick the image that you see on cards. I pick and crop it. So basically the way a card looks and the image it looks like, it's one of the people on my team that picks them. I'm getting more and more projects, and it's so much fun. All day I look at sports. My job is looking at sports photography and images. And there's something crazy. Like in a couple months, what you see at Walmart, like I'm going to have something that goes to Walmart and that every 10-year-old kid's going to collect and throw in a binder and have 10, 20, 50 years from now. And what I built today, some kid now is going to show his kid and his grandkid of, here is this Aristides Aquino rookie card, and I pick the image for that. Or you look on eBay and you say, oh, I picked this short print of, I was talking to one of our friends. He's like, yeah, I picked this short print of Acuna. So on eBay for $5,000. And I picked that. And that's something where it's so cool. And I just love every day. I love what I do. Even working from home, I haven't been to the office outside of my interview because it happened just before Corona started. But working from home, I just love what I do every day. And our whole team, when I interviewed, I would fit in. They said, "Yeah, we're all sports nerds. That's what we do." Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not necessarily the quickest explanation of how I am and who I am and how I got here, but there's a quick-ish synopsis. I was trying to give some at least fun little tidbits in there.
Yeah. No, definitely. That was awesome. And you stole some of my questions there. I was going to ask who you met working through Steiner and stuff like that. But one thing I want to go back to, the championship rings. Whose rings were they? What teams were they?
Okay, so I've had 2 opportunities for a championship ring, so I wore 9 championship rings over my lifetime.
Go.
5 at Steiner and 4 as a student at Boston College, and the class that Matt is currently just finished up.
Yeah.
So first the 5 at Steiner. So at Steiner they held auctions, and people would consign stuff. And for the auction that summer, they had consigned 5 championship rings. So there was a 17 Astros ring, a 16 Cubs, an 86 Mets.
That's a cool one.
That's sick too.
A 1950s era Yankees sizing ring. So it wasn't the ring they actually got, but it was basically said, here's a design, let's use it, and let's use it to get player sizes. And a 1949 Syracuse football ring.
Huh. That's
actually
cool stuff.
It was my first week at Steiner, and we also took turns going on to auctions and in the warehouse, and I had some really cool stuff. Like I handled a Muhammad Ali signature. I handled a Sandy Koufax rookie card. But wearing championship rings is by far the coolest of it all. But they literally said, welcome to Steiner. We think you're really talented. We love your passion for sports. We're going to give you something you'll never forget. And they opened the safe and they said, try these on. And it was so cool. And then the second opportunity I've had in my life to wear a championship ring was my second semester senior year. I took sports writing as a class. Great elective, what's better than taking sports writing as an elective? It finished up my unofficial sports minor at BC, which Matt knows all about. And for our final project, there was a mock press conference. And at the end of the press conference, after finishing asking questions, our professor had brought in this very high-ranking official from the Red Sox, and upon his request, he had brought in all 4 championship rings. And one girl in our class raised her hand and says, "Can I see how heavy the rings are?" So he calls her up in front of the class and says, "No, don't just grab one. Here are all 4 and try them all on." And she was a Massachusetts native, so she was a diehard Red Sox fan. Like, she was in heaven. And we all kind of like, that's pretty cool. And then he doesn't stop there, and then says, "Okay, now pass them around." So his 4 rings got passed around the class. It was only like 10 of us. It's not a big lecture hall. It's a small class. It was a wonderful class. So I tried on, how my skin might have burned a little bit as a Yankee fan, but I tried on the 04, 07, 13, and 18 rings. So I tried on 9 championship rings in my lifetime. It was very cool seeing our teacher, who's been writing for the AP for 30 years, look like a little kid wearing championship rings, which was that was cool to see. Even when he's been working in this industry for 30 years, that he's not so jaded to say, "Wow, this is really cool."
Yeah.
That's how I've tried on 9 championship rings in my life so far.
And some pretty special ones too,
Yeah.
Not just any championship rings. I mean, like 16 Cubs, like huge drought, 2004 Sox, even 86 Mets. It's all of them obviously are special, but I mean, there's some really special ones in there.
It's also crazy when you look how the ring has evolved over the years. From the 86 Mets, it was a simple diamond. And then you look at even the 04 Sox, but especially those Cubs and Astros rings, those things have weight to them.
I don't know, Benny, were you going to say something?
I mean, I actually was just thinking about it after you finished explaining how you got to Topps and everything, and you're like, "Oh, look at eBay, stuff selling for $5,000. I picked that card," and it just made me think, like, I'm a big MLB The Show guy, and I actually play with Matt's cousin Mike all the time, and we'll literally just sit there and be like, "Yeah, that's sick card art. Like, I don't even care if the player's like an 80 overall. Like, that card's sick. I'm gonna buy it anyway." So it just speaks, like, not only obviously Topps is actually a part of the game. They have the Topps Now cards and all that, but it just speaks to the fact of, this is that important to people, like how it looks, and it really just gets people interested. And it's just, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to say it, but it's a really amazing thing that you're a part of that.
No, it's so cool. I mean, the phrase that was told to me by one of my old coworkers at Walmart, and it's still true, is, "Man, 10-year-old Kyle is really, really proud of you right now."
Yeah. No, I mean, that it's sick because you think about it, and I know I still have my binders upstairs, and I remember like specific cards. Like, I went out of my way to get a Ubaldo Jimenez rookie card.
I have multiple of those.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you remember certain cards, and you're like, the Jimenez card, or I have a Jared Weaver rookie card that I really wanted to get, and I had to go trade with somebody and all that stuff. So, to think that you're now behind the scenes, I mean, that's, and then you hear about, the legendary cards, the all the old ones. And, someday, 100 years from now, the cards that you're making are going to be, the Honus Wagner cards of tomorrow. So it's definitely,
nothing will be Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner was a print run of 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing will be Honus Wagner.
Maybe not Honus Wagner, but you know what I mean, though. There's going to be, when Ronald Acuna Jr., when there's only, people only know where 100 of those cards are.
Yeah.
You happen to be the guy that picked the picture for him and stuff. Make sure that, I don't know if you can do this, but, stash some away for yourself.
Well, I mean, I haven't really got much because I'm not in the office right now, but I one thing that was cool is when I actually went for my interview, they brought in a pack of cards, and so we all as part of the interview, we had to open a pack of cards. So that was fun. I got a Lux rookie card out of my pack. That was a good one. That was a good.
Definitely save that one.
Yeah, him and Zach Collins, the catcher from the White Sox. He's good. He was a first round catcher. He went to Clemson, I think.
Huh. Maybe you call any of his games?
I'm pretty sure I did. That's what I remember. Him and Seth Beer, I remember.
Gotcha. So speaking of calling games, you mentioned, some of the games that you called earlier. What would you say? You already mentioned your favorite game you called was UNC. Auburn. Was it the UNC
Yeah.
game or the Auburn game?
My first big broadcast was UNC, although the best game and probably favorite, considering that it was at the Garden and we won with 0.2 seconds left. That was probably the favorite game. Just because it was a hectic day. So it was during study days during first semester finals.
Yep.
And we were trying to figure out how to get down. So we hop on the band bus at 9 a.m., take the band bus down from campus to New York. We get there before the arena opens. So we have 2 hours to kill sitting in Penn Station. We then finally get into the Garden, call this crazy game, then have to get on the band bus back up to Boston. I think I didn't get back till 1:30 in the morning, and it is the best study day I've ever had. Got a lot of work done.
Sounds like a pretty awesome study day. So that's your favorite game. What's the favorite place you've ever called a game? Because I know you've called games at Fenway, at TD Garden, Madison Square Garden. Did you take the trip to Ireland? Or no?
I was not. No. I went to Ireland later separately, but no, the Aviva game that was done by the two directors sophomore year.
Gotcha.
So that was my sophomore year, but the two senior directors took that trip.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Can't blame
I had been to Aviva when I went to Ireland. About 7 months later, I went to Aviva. I went to work a qualifying game at Aviva actually, which was very cool. But no, I did not go to see the BC Georgia Tech terrible loss.
We have a lot of those.
I'll never. No, we gave up a first down on 4th and 20, passing to Georgia Tech.
That's brutal.
That's how bad. That face right there was my face at 9:30 in the morning on a Saturday. In terms of an arena, I definitely think Madison Square Garden my favorite, just being from the area.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are two other places that really stood out to me.
Yeah.
One was Florida State. I think being college football, that's college football royalty going down to Doak Campbell. There is nothing else there, but the stadium is incredible. And we went; it was 2/3 full, but it was a close game. And down the end, hearing the tomahawk chop, I couldn't hear myself think. I can only imagine how loud it would have been when it was full on, when it was a sold out crowd. It was really well done. We got there early, and we ended up talking to their professional broadcaster for about a half hour. And he took the time out of his day to talk to me and Ben, my co-broadcaster for that game, and my co-director last year. And we just talked college football, and we talked broadcasting. And there aren't necessarily a ton of pro guys who will do that, especially not for a road team. I had a good relationship with the BC professional broadcasters, but in terms of just walking to this Florida State guy and he just talked to us, it's hard to beat that. And the other favorite place, as a diehard baseball fan, getting behind the scenes at Fenway Park is incredible. Going to the press booth and where they put us for both games, especially the second one. I remember the second one specifically was the road TV booth. So I am sitting calling Boston College versus North Carolina State in the same seat that Michael Kay calls Yankees Red Sox. And that was incredible. That just kind of, outside of between meeting a Yankee scout one year and sitting in Michael Kay's seat the next year, those were two incredible ones. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it three straight years because the third year I happened to be away visiting a friend in college. Just happened to match up that weekend, but gave some younger guys a shot. Matt, you didn't broadcast that game, did you?
No, I went back and forth. I think I would have had to skip a class that was a once a week. So if you miss more, everyone you miss, you lose a letter grade.
I think it was Andrew and JD who ended up going.
Yeah, that makes sense. Linehan and JD. JD's he's JD's awesome. I love JD. JD has a lot more responsibilities this year. So speaking of games that you called, a game that you didn't call but were involved in, you were involved in an FBI game between the Boston and the New York City branches at the Bruins practice facility, right? At Warrior Ice Arena.
Yeah. So one thing that I left out in my little spiel was I spent 2 years interning with the Boston College Athletic Department in the marketing team, and I've made some great connections through that. And one thing that somehow happened, and people kind of always talk about it in a little bit of a hush-hush realm, is that BC and the FBI have a really good relationship. BC does a lot of cybersecurity stuff, and so the leadership for the university knows the FBI somewhat well. So the FBI was having this this charity game at Warrior Ice Arena, which is right off Mass Pike for those who are familiar. And they had someone who was connected to the university reach out to the athletics department. And one of the associate ADs, Jamie DiLoretto, and said, "Hey, we're having this. Do you know anyone who could help out?" And Jamie asked someone else in the department, Jason, who I had a very good rapport with, and really Jason threw out my name. And it's one thing led to another, and I am getting reached out to by the FBI, and they said, "We would love for you to PA the game." So I'm like, I've never been a PA announcer, but when else do we have this opportunity, being from the New York area, going to school in Boston, being able to go to a professional practice arena and be a PA for a game? So no hesitation. It was a Saturday afternoon, middle to late second or senior year. Perfect. It was like, and I'm so happy I did. It was funny. Kind of my responsibilities evolved. So at first it was, can you PA? Yes, got it, no problem. Then it was, can you also DJ? So can you build a playlist? Yep, got it. I show up, they're like, can you do clock? We had someone come from BU, and they bailed last second. Can you also run scoreboard and clock? So I was the PA announcer, the clock runner, and the DJ for this game. And it was so cool. You know, I have a couple contacts now in the FBI, and having an FBI agent come up to you and say, "Thank you, and let me know if you need something," is an experience that not many have. And like, I just took 2 hours out of a Saturday to sit in a hockey arena. But I pulled some high school touches. So like, for when they scored, when the Boston scored, I played the Bruins horn and goal song. When New York scored, I did the same thing with the Rangers horn and goal song. So I gave it a little flair. Definitely was a little rusty. I mean, definitely there were a couple little mistakes when you're running 3 different things. But it was very, very, very cool. That was another experience I'm treasuring, something that just came out completely out of left field, and it's one of those things where you don't pass up that type of opportunity, because I didn't get paid for it. I have an FBI Boston coin. I'll grab that actually. Give you a little memorabilia. So as a thank you, they gave me. I have this, which is a FBI Boston coin.
It's pretty cool.
And the back is ugly, but it is what it is.
It's beautiful. It's actually beautiful.
But this is one of those cool little mementos that you just kind of, when you work in industries like sports, we just kind of pick up that are great conversation starters, and something that very few people see or know exist.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no,
It's sorry, Matt.
Oh, go ahead.
It's funny that you mentioned that you had to do PA music and, you know, all that stuff. I mean, not on the same scale, but I had an internship with the Waves last summer, and originally just supposed to be you know, like walk-up songs, ballpark sounds, all stuff like that. And then, you know, a couple weeks in, it's like, a couple guys are missing. Ben, you got to be the statistician, run the scoreboard, do the playlist, and then the PA guy has to use the bathroom for a couple innings, so you got to do that too. So I can relate on that level, not the same thing, but just, you know, it really shows how much, you know, just everything's kind of connected in that setting in the broadcast booth, and, you know, everyone kind of just a little bit of everything. So that's pretty cool.
No, it's definitely when you're working not in major league, everything has kind of like a minor league feel. Like, I spent 2 summers working for minor league baseball. I know exactly what that's like. It's that it gets like, yes, you don't get necessarily paid much, and you're just like, what do you need? Yes, sir. How can I help? Let me know how I can help. But I mean, you're going to work long hours. You're going to get paid not necessarily great, especially minor league baseball, but it'll all pay out because you'll get connections, you'll get experience, and then ends up paying off in the long run. Where I'm now working in sports and definitely, and, you know, doing very well doing it.
Kyle.
you're
So throughout your journey to where you are now, I guess you said you were doing all sorts of things, whether you were broadcasting, writing, or whatever. Was there ever a time in which you were like, I want to go down this path of broadcasting, or was it always just I'm gonna get into sports wherever that is?
So my thing was I loved multiple things. I love memorabilia. I love broadcasting. I love front office stuff. I love so many different parts. So my whole thing was, if I love it and I enjoy it, let's get experience in all of it, send my applications to all of it, and see what comes back.
Yep.
That was that, and like, and whatever companies are interested, and wherever there kind of seems to be demand, that shows that this is where the demand is. This is where the opportunity is. This is where I can kind of chase and grow and go after something. So my other thing is I'm really well rounded. So if someone needs something, I can say yes. Like, I remember when I was an intern at Tops, they had Jeff McNeil come in back when he was first called up. He was a no name. No one knew who was going to be what he was going to be. But he comes in, no one knows about him, and they come to me. It was, I guess, week 8 of the internship. They say, Kyle, he just came in. He just recently call up. What do we ask him in an interview? They didn't go to someone who's been there for a couple years. They came to me because they knew that I had experience on camera, that I followed everything, and I had the knowledge. And I was like, I was like, here are 4 questions right now, and come back to me in 15 minutes, and we'll give you another 15. And that's exactly what I did. And kind of when you have that well-rounded experience, you kind of can think about the way the sports industry works from so many different angles. You can be more useful because you can help out in a bunch of different ways, but you're also better at what you do because you know how it works into the bigger picture.
sense.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense.
So going back to Tops a little bit, I know we've been all over the place, but just kind of some nuts and bolts stuff with what you're doing over there. What do you look for in a picture that you're going to put on? First of all, what sports are you doing cards for? I know baseball. What other sports are you doing?
Yep. So I'm doing baseball. I'm doing some Formula One racing, which has been, I've learned a lot of Formula One racing because I did not know much about it before starting, but I've learned a lot of Formula One racing. I've also done some helping out with some Bundesliga and some UEFA Champions League.
Very cool. Okay.
So a little bit all over in terms of licenses. And when it comes to card, it depends on what the card is for. You know, Topps has so many different brands. What you might be looking for an insert card is then when you're looking for Topps Dynasty, which is, I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but it's a $200 something card that is autographed and piece of memorabilia, and so it's a little different depending on what you're looking for and what product it's for. But in general, you're looking for something cool. You're looking for, especially a base card, you're looking for a cool image with a good action. I like looking for fun uniforms. Like, I love the Phillies. Like, if you see a Phillies or Brewers powder blue, I love that immediately because it adds a little extra color to the card. You know, it makes it pop a little more. I love the White Sox throwbacks.
Yeah, those are
nice ones.
So you always look for whether it's a motion and a piece of color, just something that makes the image pop, while also keeping a fairly good look at his face for the most part. You want to be able to know who the player is, even if before you look at the name for a lot of them. Like, when you want to look at a Ronald Acuna card, you want to know that's Ronald Acuna.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You don't want to just be told that it's Ronald Acuna.
Gotcha. Okay, that's very cool. So that's a lot of stuff that I hadn't even thought about, like, you know, going with alternate uniforms and stuff like that.
But it's also, it's personal taste. Like, me and the other, like, there's definitely a lot of similarities, but if you gave all 3 of us the same card to pick, we'd probably pick 3 different images because it's just, some of it just also comes down to personal taste. And that's also one thing that's cool, that everyone, like, I'm not being, like, you get guidelines, but I'm not being told this has to look specific like this. Like, you say, okay, here's this. We need images, and go find what you think looks great. And I'm trusted to do that, which is great. It's fantastic. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So how many pictures do you go through per card before you settle on one?
It depends. You know, sometimes you find one that hits you immediately, and sometimes you go through 10 pages.
Wow. Okay. So how do you balance, because I know that there are some cards too that have like posed pictures. So how do you do you have to have some of those, or do you have to mix those in, or is that just like, oh, we don't have any good action shots of player X or player Y, so we're just going to go with, you know, the photo day picture?
It really depends on subsets. Like some subsets, we say, okay, this set and this card set, we're going to go with the pose because you want to give all the different feels. I mean, no matter what action you go, you're never going to get a better look at the player himself. And there's some really cool poses. I love the pose where guys have the bat on their back and they do this.
Yep.
I love that pose. I think it's great. I think it's cool. It's fun. It's different. So it's all just kind of every set has its feel.
Gotcha.
And that's why you can have so many different brands and so many different products is that they're all a little bit different, or some of them are a lot of bit different from each other. And collectors love that and kids love it. It's always funny when I meet people, when run into people who I haven't seen in like a couple weeks or a couple months. They're like, "You still Walmart?" I'm like, "No, I'm working at Topps." Like, the baseball card company? I'm like, "Yeah." And they're just like, "I remember doing that when I was 10 years old," or I remember my dad's cards. Like, everyone has some sort of relationship with baseball cards in some way, shape, or form. And that's really, really cool to kind of hear people's stories. Like, I have a neighbor who was talking about how he paid for a family vacation from auctioning off a Gretzky and Jordan rookie card.
That's sick.
Jeez.
Like he had a Gretzky Jordan rookie card. My kids don't necessarily care about it, but he auctioned it off, and they went on a family like 4 or 5 day skiing vacation from the money they got. So
What's wrong with this kid?
hey, man, each their own. Not everyone's a memorabilia person. It's
Yeah.
some of it's certain clientele.
Yep. So I think that's a pretty good spot right there. I mean, I like that. We kind of came full circle back talking about what baseball cards. I know they mean a lot to me. I know tons of people that collect them. It is very cool what you're doing right now. I'm very jealous, and hopefully I'll be right behind you at some point along the way. But before we wrap up, we always have kind of these rapid fire questions that we ask people. So you're going to get the BC version. We gave the same version to Jake Palomaki. With part 2 of his interview is coming up, by the way, a little shameless plug there. That's going to be in part 2, right, Benny?
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Mock was a great player. I watched Mock for 2. Mock was there for 2 years with me.
Yeah, he was.
Might have been 3.
Yeah, I think it would have been 3 actually.
Yeah, Mock was there for 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a super great guy. So we're gonna see how your answers stack up against his. So you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. White Horse or MAs?
MAs.
MAs or City Side?
MAs.
Okay, so different right there already. I like that though. That's the right answer. Upper or Newton?
Oh, always upper.
Okay, good call. Mac or lower?
Lower.
Okay, good call. Chicken tenders or moss sticks at late night?
Both.
Both. That's also the right answer. Eagle's Nest or the Rat?
Eagle's Nest. Especially old Eagle's Nest when Maria was still there making you missed Maria. She was the best sandwich maker there ever was. She left winter break my sophomore year. Best sandwich maker I've ever seen in my life.
So that plays into my follow-up question because I think you kind of already answered it. But when you go to Eagles, do you get the presser like the panini press, or do you get the bowl?
Now by the time junior senior came around, I got the bowl. When I was a freshman and Maria was there, it wasn't the panini press. It was the other sandwich line with the Tuscan chicken.
There you go.
But by the time I graduated, it was bowls.
Okay. And alumni or Conti, which one is better to call a game in?
Conti. Oh, to call a game.
To call a game
is alumni. As a fan, I preferred Conti.
As a fan, there we go.
Because I was a banner guy senior year, and nothing beat that.
I love it. We didn't get to go, so I'm a banner guy now, as you know. There wasn't an end of the year banquet for us because obviously the virus hit, which I guess is a small price to pay, and I'll be back next year. But this poor team, man, they got ripped off. It was they had a good run. They were good.
Kyle, I gotta ask you one question before you go. I ask every BC guy that I know. What do you think of Jim Christian?
That Jim somehow produced 2 quality NBA players in Jerome and Kai, who were very low recruited guys. He also managed to piss off every big name recruit. And when you had 2 NBA players on his team, he couldn't make the tournament. He helped get a program that was at rock bottom till out of rock bottom. But coronavirus saved his job.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. to me, it's crazy that he could produce guys like Kai Bowman and Jerome Robinson and just suck. But it's what it is.
Yeah. He told us the other day that he got dunked on by Michael Jordan and has a poster of him getting dunked on in his basement. So if that doesn't sum him up, I don't know what does.
No, the best Jim Christian story I heard was he almost had Russell Westbrook commit to him at Kent State, and his father told him he had to stay in LA.
Wow.
And you just wonder what could be different.
Wow.
That is insane. Kyle, thank you so much for your time. Any other wrap-ups, guys?
No, thank you, Kyle. It was definitely cool hearing your journey to where you are today.
My pleasure,
Yeah, for
guys.
sure. Wish you nothing but the best, man. Hope you design a lot of sweet cards. Hopefully, I'll see them out there in the stores pretty soon.
I was say, here's a plug. Go to Topps.com. Cards are still coming out. Even with the virus going on, we're still getting cards out. I think they should still probably be at Walmart and Target, and got nothing else going on. Especially since finals are about finished up.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Have to start investing in some cards.